The telegram arrived at German intelligence headquarters in Madrid on June 9, 1944, 3 days after Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy. The present operation, though a large-scale assault, is diversionary in character. It read in perfect German. Its purpose is to establish a strong bridgehead in order to draw the maximum of our reserves to the area of operation, and to retain them there, so as to leave another area exposed. The message was signed by Agent Arabelle, Berlin's most trusted spy in Britain, a man they'd awarded the Iron Cross for his exceptional intelligence work. Adolf Hitler read the report personally and made a decision that would cost Germany the war. He ordered 2 armored divisions and 19 infantry divisions to remain at Pas-de-Calais, waiting for the real invasion that would never come. What Hitler didn't know was that Agent Arabelle didn't exist. Not really. He was Juan Pujol Garcia, a 32-year-old Spanish chicken farmer who decreated an entirely fictional spy network from his bedroom and convinced the Nazi war machine that ghosts were real. Before there was the Central Intelligence Agency, with its satellite surveillance and digital espionage, there was one man sitting in a small room in London, typing letters to the Nazis about an army that didn't exist. Perhaps they'd take him as a double agent, so he went to the Germans instead and convinced them he was a fanatical Nazi willing to risk his life for the Führer. The Germans, desperate for intelligence from Britain, believed him and gave him invisible ink, cash, instructions on how to set up a mail drop in Lisbon, and sent him to England to establish a spy network. There was just one problem. Pujol never went to England. He went to Lisbon instead and started fabricating intelligence reports about Britain using a tourist guidebook, a railway timetable, and a 1938 blue guide he found in a library. He described British convoys sailing from Liverpool when they were actually docked in Southampton, reported on military exercises during impossible weather, paid him generously, and asked for more. And they started noticing something strange. The Germans were receiving detailed intelligence reports from an agent in Britain, except MI5 knew they decaught or turned every German spy on British soil. Under the guidance of his MI5 handler Thomas Harris, he invented 27 fictional subagents across Britain: a Swiss businessman in London, a Venezuelan student, a Welsh fascist, Portuguese commercial travelers, American military personnel, a waiter from Gibraltar, even a group of pro-Nazi Welsh nationalists. The Germans were so impressed, they increased his salary and awarded him bonuses for exceptional intelligence work. Garbo's job was to sell the lie so convincingly that Hitler would refuse to believe the truth, even after Allied soldiers were dying on Norman beaches. To do this, the Allies created an entirely fictional army, the First United States Army Group, supposedly stationed in southeast England under General George Patton, and supported it with inflatable tanks, dummy aircraft, fake radio chatter, and constant intelligence reports from Garbo's network of fictional spies. German reconnaissance planes were allowed to photograph the ghost army, seeing exactly what the Allies wanted them to see. But Garbo's most brilliant move came on June 6, 1944, just hours before the Normandy landings began. And in December 1944, he received the Member of the Order of the British Empire from Britain. He remains the only person in history to receive military decorations from both sides in World War II. The Nazis gave him their highest honor for feeding them lies, and the British gave him theirs for being such a magnificent liar. But here's where the story gets even stranger. After the war ended, MI5 was terrified that Nazi hunters or surviving German intelligence officers would discover Garbo's true identity and seek revenge. They decided he needed to disappear. So in 1945, they faked his death, creating documentation showing that Juan Pujol Garcia had died of malaria in Angola. Garbo moved to Venezuela, opened a bookshop, and later a language school, and lived in complete anonymity for 40 years. His wife didn't even know the full extent of what he'd done. She thought he'd been a minor administrative employee during the war. It wasn't until 1984 that a British author tracked him down in Caracas, and Garbo's story finally became public. He was 72 years old, running a small language school, living quietly in a modest apartment. When asked why he'd done it, why a Spanish chicken farmer, with no loyalty to Britain or America, had risked his life to fight the Nazis, Garbo gave a simple answer: "I did it because the Nazis represented everything I hated: tyranny, brutality, the destruction of human dignity." The most haunting part of Garbo's story is what it reveals about intelligence work. The most effective weapon isn't always truth or force, but rather a perfectly crafted lie told by someone the enemy trusts completely. The German High Command built their entire defensive strategy around Garbo's fictional spy network and made strategic decisions that cost them the war. Because one man understood that an espionage perception is reality, and a convincing lie is more powerful than an unconvincing truth.